Chapter 151. Azure Heaven Creation Sect 2. Whirring. Flash. A third beam of light shot out from General Seo's eyes. Koog, West Spirit Gate's nascent soul elder, Wei Tak, frowned and blocked the beam. A brat who's barely even at the chi refining stage managed to summon a nascent soul puppet. However, Wei Tak is just annoyed, not overly strained. After all, it's merely an early-stage nascent soul puppet, barely a step beyond core formation. Even though his spiritual power has weakened, as a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator, Wei Tak is not about to lose. I am almost done with my spell. Now, just as he was about to finish his spell and annihilate the puppet in front of him. Pop! The puppet, named General Seo, which had been gathering energy in its eyes, suddenly exploded on its own. Wei Tak was briefly stunned but soon realized the situation. Ah, I see. It was overloaded. It could launch nascent soul level attacks thrice, but that is its limit. Trying to shoot beams more than 3 times would cause it to break down, a puppet with an almost laughably limited capability. Tisk, tisk, it's only fitting for a core formation puppet that can shoot nascent soul level attacks thrice. A sneer appears on Wei Tak's lips. Well, it was an amusing resistance. Now, just surrender. And when Wei Tak looked down towards where Seo Unyun was, he had to widen his eyes in disbelief. What? A total of 17, General Seo, are gathering energy beside Seo Unyun. Seo Unyun clicks his tongue and forms a hand seal. Kugugugik, crack, right beside him, an 18th puppet is being formed. One puppet can use a nascent soul stage attack 3 times before breaking. Indeed, with such inferior materials, even with Mad Lord's circuits, it can't hold up. What? Click, click, click. The 18 feet General Seos simultaneously opened their mouths. Flash, General Seo cannon, fire. Beams shot out from the mouths of the 18 puppets, all aimed at Wei Tak. He released his prepared spell, but it was dispersed by the 18 beams. Engulfed in the torrent of light, Wei Tak yelled out a curse that was swept away by the explosion. I watched as the West Spirit Gate's elder, Wei Tak, scorched and fell. Kyugu. Indeed, as expected of a nascent soul cultivator with incredible vitality. He hasn't died even though his entire body is charred. Harg, Hoyarg. Of course, he attempted to escape, seeing me as if I were a terrible nightmare. Clatter, clink, Wei Tak's clothes tore apart, and several items fell from his bosom. I slowly approached and picked up the items. Several talismans, and a scroll magic artifact that emits faint spatial vibrations. This is. I tried to open the scroll artifact, but it didn't budge, seemingly sealed. A seal. I chuckle softly, looking at the artifact. FZZT. Energy gathers at my fingertips. Simultaneously, the Mad Lord's circuitry starts to overlay on the surface of the scroll artifact. The grand circuits that operate the wonderfully mysterious fortress. The circuits capable of mimicking the soul of a living being, began to overtake the artifact, breaking through the seal. Whirring. Before long, Mad Lord's circuits broke through the seal on the scroll. Bang! A faint light burst from the scroll artifact, and the sealing spell was broken. Wu Wang. As I infuse spiritual energy into the scroll, it floats into the air. And then, swoosh, the scroll unfurls in the air. This is a scroll-shaped space artifact. Inside the scroll are several paintings. As I carefully reach towards one of the paintings, my hand naturally enters inside. Wow, I reach for one of the items inside the painting and pick it up. Wu Wang, it's a Dharma treasure emitting a powerful light, appearing quite formidable. It's even more convenient than a storage bag. Typically, storage artifacts have the downside of not allowing the inside to be seen, sometimes making it hard to find what was put inside when trying to take it out again. Of course, if one's consciousness is inserted into the storage artifact, they can quickly find what they are looking for. However, the fact that one can see inside the storage artifact with their naked eye, seeing exactly where and what is placed inside, offers significant convenience. I begin to rummage through the West Spirit Gate Elder's scroll artifact, extracting his assets. A pair of twin flying dagger Dharma treasures. Several unknown poisonous herbs. And books about spiritual beasts, spiritual trees, spiritual insects, and there are 4 million spirit stones. This is equivalent to several years' worth of budget for a lower realm cultivator clan. And 6 unidentified talismans, each emitting extraordinary spiritual energy, and lastly, this is. I take out a white jade tablet from a corner of the scroll artifact. Oh, is this West Spirit Gate's secret method? The jade tablet is densely inscribed with the language of the bright cold realm. Looks like I need to learn the bright cold realm language. I sighed softly and carefully put the jade tablet into my pockets for now. Sometime later, Azure Tiger Saint won against the Grand Elder of West Spirit Gate, and the Azure Heaven Creation Sect achieved victory over West Spirit Gate. From now on, this place belongs to our Grand Azure Heaven Creation Sect. Everyone, get out. Defeated by Azure Tiger Saint, the Grand Elder of West Spirit Gate gnashed his teeth and flew away, followed by the rest of West Spirit Gate disciples. Ha ha ha, now, we have won. All disciples, prepare to move. Coo-goo-goo-goo. Azure Tiger Saint takes out a scroll from his embrace. Like the one I had seen before, it's the scroll with the landscape painting drawn on it. Suddenly, the painting begins to emit light. Flash. Simultaneously, the mountain painted on the scroll begins to emerge from within the scroll. Coo-goo-goo-goo. A small mountain range falls next to West Spirit Gate's peak, forming a small mountain next to it. Coo-wong. A tremendous boom echoed in all directions, raising a cloud of dust. It's insane every time I see it. The idea of ascending with their entire sect in a spatial artifact, bringing them to the bright cold realm, is almost unbelievable. Kung. As I stood dumbfoundedly watching this spectacle with Chief O, who is still in the flying chariot and struggling to grasp the situation, Azure Tiger Saint descended from the sky in front of us. Now that both of you are disciples of Azure Heaven Creation Sect, I will inform you of the place where you will reside from now on. Thus, on that day in the bright cold realm's Azure Cold Island, my life in the Azure Heaven Creation Sect began. After Azure Heaven Creation Sect sorted out the hierarchy with West Spirit Gate, they sent disciples to the surrounding factions to announce that as of that day, Azure Heaven Creation Sect had become the #1 sect of Azure Cold Island. Simultaneously, after officially registering the sect's territory with the help of Azure Cold Island's administrator who manages the disputes in Azure Cold Island, people of the Human Race Grand Alliance were invited to give extensive lectures on the bright cold realm's language, geography, climate, culture, and astronomy. Especially, the bright cold realm's language and astronomy are essential elements for cultivation and had to be properly learned. So in the bright cold realm, that is the Horn Star. In my previous life, surrounding races were conquered through the wonderfully mysterious fortress, kidnapping and forcibly extracting information. In this life, under Azure Heaven Creation Sect, I could systematically acquire information. And, Chief O Yun Sok, without understanding what was happening, also quickly learned the bright cold realm's language. It took about 6 months for Azure Heaven Creation Sect to completely settle and establish its position in Azure Cold Island. You seem a bit better now. Yes, thanks, Deputy CO. The last 6 months were incredibly busy. Learning the bright cold realm's language, reacquainting myself with the constellations of the bright cold realm from scratch. Not just that, settling in Azure Cold Island and completely reorganizing into Azure Heaven Creation Sect, being called here and there to become familiar with people. I was okay, but I wonder how Chief O felt. He must have been incredibly busy and confused, dropped into a strange place for the first time, learning a strange language, and becoming acquainted with strange people. Over the past 6 months, we barely saw each other's faces, knowing only that the other was somewhere, as we had to constantly go here and there. Recently, as the sect stabilized a bit and we had the chance to meet each other again, I was helping train Chief O's body. Moving the body helps clear the mind. Indeed, there's nothing like exercise to clear away idle thoughts. But Deputy CO, I've only seen you grown at the office. You surprisingly look like a PT personal trainer here, which is quite fascinating. Haha, thank you. What does PT mean? Anyway, since it was clearly a compliment, I just smiled and accepted it. Chief O, you handle your body quite well. I evaluated his movements while teaching basic recommended stances and techniques. Certainly, he hasn't grasped the true essence of martial arts immediately with innate talent like Kim Young-hoon. However, it's evident that he has considerable control over his body. Well, it's always been like this at the company. Even when going hiking with Director Kim Young-hoon, the female employees would faint halfway, and you and Section Chief Jaeon would collapse exhausted. It was only Director Kim and I who always succeeded in reaching the summit. Ha ha ha, it's probably because both of you have always been good at using your bodies. As we talked, memories from the company began to sneak into my mind subtly. There was a time when we went on a hiking workshop with Executive Director Jaeon Myong-chul at the company. Actually, Jaeon Myong-chul only went up a little before veering off to a spring midway, and told the others to go to the summit and take proof. Kim Young-hoon and Chifo Yun-sok were the only ones to climb to the top. The female employees all fainted halfway and collapsed sitting on a bench, and only I and Section Chief Jaeon somehow managed to continue. Unfortunately, we ended up just sitting down in front of the steep mountain path. Looking back at that time, while Kim Young-hoon climbed the mountain without wasting energy, sensibly managing his stamina, Chifo Yun-sok showed a stamina that didn't run out no matter how much he used, all the way to the end. He always had a body like a monster. I reminisced about the distant past as I watched Chifo Yun-sok, having finished his physical training. Just then, Wo-wung, from afar, a blue light quickly flew and landed before us. As the lump of blue brilliance subsided, a figure walked out from within. A towering figure, about 8 feet tall, 2.4 meters. Walking around shirtless, his abs are sharply defined as if carved by a knife. It's Azure Tiger Saint. I've seen the master. I greet the master. Still unfamiliar with the language and manners of this world, Oh Yun-sok stuttered his respects. However, Azure Tiger Saint, with a carefree laugh, indicated that such formalities were unnecessary. I have no need for such tiresome formalities. My coming here is because as Azure Heaven Creation Sect is well settled in Azure Cold Island and you both have become fluent in the Bright Cold Realms language, it seems about time to start learning. I thank the master. Ah, yes thank you. Chifo Yun-sok still seemed to have a hard time grasping the concept of cultivation methods. Confused, he followed my lead and expressed his thanks. Before I start teaching the methods, let's properly conduct a test to determine your aptitudes. Azure Tiger Saint spoke, his muscles twitching noticeably. Excluding the first day in the Bright Cold Realm when we first ascended. Azure Tiger Saint almost always went around shirtless. I think he said it's manly. Primarily, most of the methods of our Azure Heaven Creation Sect are specialized in combat. Though we've acquired some different cultivation methods after taking over West Spirit Gate, they aren't the mainstream. Oh Yun-sok, you possess the legendary physique known as the unique holy body, and Seo Un-yun, you. I don't know what it is exactly, but you managed to ascend on your own. Both are worthy to be my direct disciples. I feel an ominous premonition. In a nutshell, as my direct disciples, you won't need the methods obtained from West Spirit Gate, but will learn our own secret methods. But first, to understand what to focus on and how to instruct you, let's have a simple test today. May I ask what this simple test entails? Feeling a sense of foreboding, I cautiously asked him. And Azure Tiger Saint, with a sly grin, raised his fist. How can his one fist be as big as my head? With an all-day free sparring with me of course. Come, both of you. I'll try to adjust my strength to the chi refining stage. What does that? Before Chifo could fully comprehend. Bang! Azure Tiger Saint's fist, as big as a head, strikes Chifo's abdomen. Chifo's eyes roll back as he's sent flying far away. Whiz! The next moment, a red line targets my abdomen. I hastily evade Azure Tiger Saint's punch by reading his intent. Azure Tiger Saint's fist punches a huge rock behind me where I had just been standing. Crash! The rock the size of a yard shatters into pieces from the impact. I briefly fall silent, before asking Azure Tiger Saint. Didn't you say you would adjust to the chi refining stage? When I was at chi refining, I used to fight like this. That was clearly a chi building level strike. I involuntarily have a new admiration for Azure Tiger Saint's monstrous strength before taking my stance. I guess martial arts are out of the question. Not knowing where the line is drawn for the Heart Tribe and how human cultivators identify members of the Heart Tribe, it's best to be cautious. But, still, just moving my body should be fine. Without using formless sword or gang sphere, purely relying on my consciousness to read and dodge the opponent's attacks should be fine. Haha, nonetheless, to dodge my strike. Indeed, you seem promising. Now shall we continue? Boom! As Azure Tiger Saint stomped, blue light emerged from beneath his feet and flowed into Chifo Yun-sok, who was lying unconscious and bleeding in the distance. Is he going to keep healing and training us even if our bodies are completely destroyed? What kind of insane training method is this? No, it's not even training yet. Just checking our aptitude. I swallow nervously. Azure Tiger Saint's training method might be more cruel than I imagined. Alright then, since I've got promising disciples, shall we have some fun? Boom! Azure Tiger Saint laughs heartily and charges at me again. Flash! I dodge his punch by reading his intent. At that moment, flash! The trajectory of his intent shifts, becoming hard to discern. Simultaneously, whoosh! Azure Tiger Saint's fist narrowly misses me. Had I made even a slight mistake, I would have been hit directly. Seeing this, I gasp for air, and Azure Tiger Saint chuckles. Changing intent this is. 3 flowers gather at the summit. Oh, 2, see, and dodge that. Are you also at the 3 flowers gather at the summit? Thud, boom. Azure Tiger Saint clapped his fists together joyously, with blue energy rippling around him each time. I didn't expect the master, the founder of Azure Heaven Creation Sect, to have learned mortal techniques. Have you learned martial arts? I haven't exactly learned martial arts. It's just, my method itself is about training the body, so naturally, I end up fighting a lot with my body. After frequently fighting, at some point, I started seeing the opponent's intent visualized. From Azure Tiger Saint's body, thousands of threads flow out. Each is optimized for combat. I sweat coldly, blocking those threads with my intent, dodging them all. And then, at some point while fighting some more, I saw my intent and the opponent's intent mixed together, turning purple. From that day, I could see the colors of other human emotions if I focused. Well, of course, I don't care about intents not related to combat, so I didn't delve deeper into the general emotions of intent. Boom, boom, boom. Azure Tiger Saint's fists filled all 4 directions in front of me. I found the state that mortals call 3 flowers gather at the summit quite useful in combat. Haha, it seems you've also reached 3 flowers gather at the summit. Good, let's have some fun. Azure Tiger Saint, with an even more excited expression, pushes harder, infusing more strength into his fists towards me. After all, 3 flowers gather at the summit often blooms in the midst of extreme real combat. Hence Azure Tiger Saint, who frequently engages in physical combat, reaching 3 flowers gather at the summit isn't surprising. But now, I dodge his punches while feeling genuinely exhilarated for the first time in a while. How long has it been since I fought and measured moves with someone through intent? Things I couldn't even attempt if it wasn't Kim Young-hoon. Ordinary martial artists couldn't match me in pure force, so they weren't considered opponents. However, here is an opponent with whom I could match moves somewhat and who is far beyond me in terms of pure strength. Shall we have fun for a change? I smirk, exchanging intents with Azure Tiger Saint. Blue and red threads intertwine in the air, turning into purple. Each other's movements and actions become predictable. A line extending from Azure Tiger Saint targets my forehead. A blow that can shatter my skull. I slightly tilt my head to dodge his fist, then shoot my intent towards his legs. Azure Tiger Saint, in turn, kicks towards me, but my intent was a feint. I grab Azure Tiger Saint's arm, still not retracted from his punch, and smoothly redirect the force of his punch with fluid motion. Bang! I stimulated part of the force in his punch, changing its direction. The redirected force inside Azure Tiger Saint's arm collided, causing him to be slightly shocked by his own force. Oh ho! Azure Tiger Saint's eyes sparkle with interest. Kai! A slight shock entered Azure Tiger Saint's arm, which was then covered in blue light. Quote. Very good. Excellent. Shall we continue? Taught it. Azure Tiger Saint charges at me again. The attack aimed at my knee is dodged by twisting half a step, and I counterattack at the ribs. The movement trying to step on my foot is evaded by stepping back half a step, then I counterattack at the pelvis. His punch aiming at my head is dodged by slightly turning my head, then I strike his upper arm 3 times in retaliation. The attack with the elbow coming down is dodged by entering his embrace, then I strike down at the collarbone in retaliation. The movement trying to enclose me by grabbing my arm is met with a strike at the solar plexus, then I escape downwards. Immediately, 7 red intents aim at me, each targeting my lower body, anticipating my dodges. But instead, I charge forward, connecting 14 red lines aiming towards Azure Tiger Saint's vital points. Boom, boom, boom. Azure Tiger Saint doesn't bother protecting his vitals and attacks me. However, I dodge all 7 attacks with flowing steps, as planned, and strike all of Azure Tiger Saint's vital points. Yet, why am I the one hurt when I am the one who attacked? I chuckle hollowly, looking at my bruised fists. He's shirtless, but it's like hitting diamond instead of flesh. In the pure realm of martial arts, I overpower Azure Tiger Saint. However, in terms of pure strength, we are in entirely different weight divisions. He's just hard, so ridiculously solid, and the feeling that one punch from that fist can disintegrate my limbs. It's a fighting style that enforces a bizarre logic. You can hit me as many times as you want, but I only need to hit you once. That is Azure Tiger Saint's way of fighting. If I use the formless sword, I can at least make an impact. As I am contemplating this, Azure Tiger Saint smiles even wider, infusing more power into his fist. Goo. Sorry for holding back in our fight, disciple. The air around him vibrates. Now that I know your strength. Wo Wang. Visible energy to the naked eye from the atmosphere flows into Azure Tiger Saint's body. Now, I'll fight you at the Chi building stage. Boom. With the speed comparable to a core formation cultivator's flying escape technique, Azure Tiger Saint charges at me. I narrowly dodge his fist. Crash. A small hill behind me is sent flying away from Azure Tiger Saint's punch. I laugh helplessly. Is that Chi building level? I fought like this at the Chi building stage. Jin Bayak Ho, Heyo Gwak, those guys as well. They all played around like this, it's not that strange, right? Alright, then, try catching this. Flash. Azure Tiger Saint appears before me in a flash, raising his fist. I swallow my laughter, reposition myself in that brief moment, and gather energy at my fingertips. And then, we collided. Shish. Azure Tiger Saint brushed off his hands, looking at his disciple. Alright, I've figured out how to teach you. Excellent. To think you've also reached the stage of 3 flowers gather at the summit, my disciple. If we just train your body to be a bit tougher, you'll make a fine sparring partner. Seo Eun-yun doesn't respond. His eyes are rolled up with his right arm and entire right shoulder blown off. Perhaps I was too harsh. Wo Wang. Azure Tiger Saint emits a blue light, patting Seo Eun-yun's shoulder, helping his right arm regenerate. While infusing life force into Seo Eun-yun's body and healing him, Azure Tiger Saint looks at his fist. From start to finish, Seo Eun-yun sparred with Azure Tiger Saint barehanded. Even though Azure Tiger Saint restricted his strength for the assessment, Seo Eun-yun is initially someone he can crush with just his little toe. This guy, Azure Tiger Saint, looking at Seo Eun-yun who is still unconscious standing up, grins. Drip, drip, blood is seeping out from a crack-like wound on Azure Tiger Saint's fist. Interesting, we clashed fist against fist. He pondered, looking at the slash-like wound. But isn't this almost like a sword wound? Kai. Although the slash-like sword wound healed immediately as Azure Tiger Saint exerted force, he looked at Seo Eun-yun with curious eyes. I only thought that child with the unique holy body was interesting, but this guy might also possess a very unique quality. Grin. Azure Tiger Saint smiles looking at Seo Eun-yun. I wonder how much of a monster you'll become once you've mastered body refining methods. Azure Tiger Saint chuckles and turns around, approaching Oh Yun-sok who is just waking up. Now, let's continue assessing your other qualities. Just a moment. Kwang. In a corner of Azure Heaven Creation Sect. In front of the residence of Seo Eun-yun and Oh Yun-sok, blue light continues to flicker. Huff. Is this the 15th death? I shiver, looking around for Seo Wei-ol, but fortunately, he isn't there. Not dead. Ha ha ha, people don't die that easily. Startled, I shudder for a moment looking at Azure Tiger Saint. But I sigh in relief looking around. Fortunately, the place emitting a medicinal scent is the Azure Heaven Creation Sect's medicine hall. I've shown an unsightly side. My apologies, Master. No, it's alright. Anyway, I've roughly figured out yours and Oh Yun-sok's qualities. I also know how to teach you going forward. So, let's start practicing the methods from today. Wo Wang. Next to Azure Tiger Saint, a scroll-like storage artifact floats up. The scroll unfurls, revealing its contents, and Azure Tiger Saint reaches into the scroll, pulling out a large stele. Kuang. The stele is densely written in the language of Biokra. Here, this is the method you'll be learning from today. The name of the method is Starlight Protective Void Body. Translator notes. 15th Death XDDD. Chapter 152. Azure Heaven Creation Sect 3. Starlight Protecting Void Body. I skimmed through the essentials of the method and realized something. This method, it seems it is only the middle part without the beginning or the end. At my words, Azure Tiger Saint chuckles and strokes his beard. Haha, you have a keen eye. Indeed, the original method is divided into 3 parts. He continues his explanation. Azure Spirit Striking Origin Technique, responsible for attack and explosive power. Starlight Protecting Void Body, in charge of defense and stability. 5 Elements Enduring Origin Scripture, tasked with endurance, healing power, and regenerative ability. These 3 methods each represent the beginning, middle, and end of the original method. Boom. A blue light flickers above Azure Tiger Saint's hand. It's the life and healing energy of wood's spiritual energy. Disciples of Azure Heaven Creation Sect typically begin their training with the 5 elements enduring origin scripture, divided into 5 separate methods. They start by mastering methods corresponding to the attributes of the 5 elements. Once they become proficient, they move on to the starlight protecting void body. Finally, they are introduced to the Azure Spirit striking origin technique. Upon reaching a certain level of mastery in these methods, they begin the formal transmission of the combined original method, the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method. As my direct disciple, I've observed your potential, and decided to start your instruction directly with the Starlight Protecting Void Body. Thank you. After bowing to the Azure Tiger Saint, curiosity strikes me. By the way, is it possible to know what teachings Chief O, no, Senior Brother O, is practicing? Ah, you mean O Yun Sok? After pondering for a moment, Azure Tiger Saint shows a somewhat mischievous smile. It might be a bit unpleasant to hear for you, but he will be directly taught the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method soon. Who, indeed, a unique holy body is a unique holy body after all. Even though his combat sense is still far inferior to yours, after getting beaten and healing repeatedly, his body quickly becomes stronger. The plan is to see how resilient he becomes without teaching him any techniques through sparring first, and then start teaching him the proper methods afterward. Quote. In other words, he's saying that he will continue to beat Chief O up in the future. I thought Chief O, who went to Azure Tiger Saint, would at least have the most enjoyable time. It appears getting beaten up crazily will be the norm until he reaches the right state. After awkwardly greeting Azure Tiger Saint, who was quite excited about the prospect of beating up Chief O Yun Sok, I took the steel with the Starlight Protecting Void Body written on it and returned to my place. Reading through the Starlight Protecting Void Body, I realized it's no simple method. Even if the spiritual energy of the bright cold realm is abundant, I shouldn't overestimate my talent. I have long understood the limits of my talent. How long will it take for a body like mine to properly learn the method? After pondering for a moment, I remember Azure Tiger Saint's words. Disciples of Azure Heaven Creation Sect typically begin their training with the 5 elements enduring origin scripture, divided into 5 separate methods. That means, before learning the Starlight Protecting Void Body, it will be helpful to learn the 5 elements enduring origin scripture. Right, instead of trying to learn everything at once, let's try it step by step. I first go to look for the 5 elements enduring origin scripture by visiting the scripture pavilion of the Azure Heaven Creation Sect. Let's see, the scripture pavilion was said to have been settled a few months ago. Azure Heaven Creation Sect Summoning Peak. I head there to find the 5 elements enduring origin scripture. And, as I walk towards Summoning Peak, quote. I can see something strange. Why does the scripture pavilion seem to be moving? When I cautiously arrive at the bustling library, I see an unbelievable scene. Senior Brother, beneath the scripture pavilion building. There, a muscular man is puffing his breath, lifting the entire scripture pavilion up and down, training his upper body. A single blue cloud is engraved on his pants. Disciples of the Azure Heaven Creation Sect are classified by clouds. A newly initiated disciple wears clothes with 5 clouds, known as a 5-cloud disciple. A disciple who received some teachings and reached the chi refining stage is a 4-cloud disciple. A disciple at the chi building stage is a 3-cloud disciple. A core formation stage disciple is a 2-cloud disciple, and a nascent soul stage disciple is treated as a 1-cloud disciple. From the 1-cloud disciple onwards, one has the privilege to challenge for the position of an elder in the Azure Heaven Creation Sect, a tremendously prestigious status. In reality, the elders of the Azure Heaven Creation Sect are 1-cloud disciples, the class of disciples leading the sect. From the heavenly being elders onwards, they wear only blue robes signifying the Azure Heaven, Azure Sky, without any clouds. And Azure Tiger Saint, at the 4-axis stage, simply goes around without a shirt. Chief O Yun Sok and I, in terms of cultivation realm, are actually 5-cloud disciples, but thanks to our status as the direct disciples of Azure Tiger Saint, we are allowed to bear the 2-cloud pattern. Kuhuu. At my call, the 1-cloud disciple training his upper body with the scripture pavilion building. A person named Cheon Hoon looks at me. Oh, aren't you the new disciple of the ancestor? Let me see, in terms of seniority, what should I call you? I'm not sure. Well, I'll just call you Junior. Junior, what brings you to the scripture pavilion? While holding up the building with one arm, he asks me, wiping sweat with the other. I cautiously ask, witnessing the terrifying sight. Quote. I came looking for the 5 elements enduring origin scripture divided into 5 methods to learn. Ah, so you came for that. Haha, being the direct disciple of the ancestor, you could start with higher methods, but it's nice to see you laying a solid foundation. Go to the 2nd floor of the scripture pavilion, right at the entrance, the 3rd yellow bookshelf, 3rd compartment. Those are the basic methods of the Azure Heaven Creation sect, so there's no problem in copying them to take away. However, if you want to take other scriptures, you need to prove your eligibility. Prove eligibility. Yes, in the sect, it's discouraged for those unqualified to learn the methods. So, to learn higher methods, one must pass a test. And how does one take this test? At my question, Cheon-hoon grins and replies. Simple. Bring the scripture to the librarian. After the librarian judges the importance of the scripture, you have to win a spar against them. Usually, for chi refining and chi building stage scriptures, if you win an arm wrestling match against the librarian, you're allowed to take them. Quote. And who is this librarian of the scripture pavilion? I ask cautiously, inwardly hoping it wasn't the person in front of me. However, Cheon-hoon chuckled as if to say, why even ask? Of course, it's me, why are you even asking? I look at Cheon-hoon, who is flexing his muscles while holding the scripture pavilion with one hand. Arm wrestle him to take the scripture. Was this a way of saying not to cultivate? Noticing my gaze, Cheon-hoon continues. Ah, just in case you're overly worried, for chi refining scriptures, you normally just need to beat my pinky finger in arm wrestling to take them. I'll only use my pinky, and you can use your whole body. Quote. I look at Cheon-hoon's pinky finger. It's thicker than my thumb. Quote. So, I can just take the 5 elements enduring origin scripture without any competition. Ah, of course, but you see, I'm in the middle of my upper body training, and it's a bit troublesome to put the building down. Could you just go in? Quote. Yes, alright. With a leap, I jumped up and landed at the entrance held high. From below, Cheon-hoon's voice reaches me. Thanks for understanding. And since I'll be lifting and lowering the pavilion a little for my upper body training, the scripture pavilion might shake a bit, just so you know. Quote. Do as you please. After giving up on understanding Cheon-hoon, I went up to the scripture pavilion's upper floor. Shortly after, I found the books titled, 5 Elements Enduring Origin Scripture, at the place Cheon-hoon mentioned. The 5 Elements Enduring Origin Scripture is divided into 5 basic methods just like the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation, with each representing a different element. Fire Path Enduring Origin Scripture. Water Path Enduring Origin Scripture. Wood Path Enduring Origin Scripture. Metal Path Enduring Origin Scripture. Earth Path Enduring Origin Scripture. I first unfolded each of the scriptures and learned all the essentials. So this is the feel of it. After embedding all the essences in my head, I reached out for other methods on a different bookshelf. However, whoosh, all the other scriptures have restrictions placed on them. Just when I pick up another book. Ah, Junior, if you wish to learn that, win an arm wrestling match against me, and I'll teach you how to lift the restriction. Quote. I quietly placed the book back in its original spot and left the scripture pavilion. Thank you for the help, senior brother. If I need to find something else in the future, I'll come to visit after learning these methods. Haha, do as you please. Oh, and if you're going to learn the 5 Elements Enduring Origin Scripture, you might as well get some help at the 5 Elements Hall. Cheon-hoon points towards 5 mountain peaks far away with one hand. You know what the 5 Elements Hall is, right? Yes, I'm aware. It's said to be the place where the Azure Heaven Creation sect's body cultivation is most actively conducted. A place to learn the body refining methods corresponding to each element. That's right, that's right. Many senior brothers there started with the 5 Elements Enduring Origin Scripture, and they'll all be willing to help you with a good heart. Ah, thank you. I thank Cheon-hoon. I had a rough idea of what the 5 Elements Hall is, but I have never been there before. It took time to move the locations that were previously in the head realm to Azure Cold Island, so it was only recently restored. Kugugugu. I left Cheon-hoon training with the scripture pavilion and went to find the 5 Elements Hall. 5 Elements Hall. Fire Path Body Training Hall. Kugugugu. I instantly realize something is wrong. Kahaha. Stoke the flames hotter. Arg. Senior brothers, please spare us. Come on, what are you doing? Roast all the new recruits we've received this time. Whoosh. Ever heard of burning at the stake? Setting up a log, tying a criminal to it, then stacking lots of firewood below and setting it on fire as a form of punishment and execution. And, at the Five Elements Hall, Fire Path Body Training Hall, supposedly to learn the Fire Path Enduring Origin Scripture. They had just tied up the disciples who had recently joined Azure Heaven Creation Sect and possessed the fire spiritual root, to a row of logs, and were lighting fires under them. I want to go back. I didn't know it was like this. Quiet. Everyone from the head realm got strong this way, that's why we have the mighty Azure Heaven Creation Sect of today. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth is dense in the bright cold realm, so it should be even more effective. Light the fire. Arg. Whoosh. I dumbfoundedly watch the chi refining stage disciples being roasted by fire in the Fire Path Body Training Hall. Splash. And then, I turned my head towards the core formation stage 2 cloud disciples training nearby. Crater. There's a volcanic crater with lava boiling fiercely. Everyone, dive in. And the 2 cloud disciples of the Fire Path Body Training Hall dove into the lava as soon as the 1 cloud disciples commanded them to dive. Splash, splash, splash. The 2 cloud disciples went inside the lava and didn't surface for a while. What's this? Why aren't they coming up? They're all flowing away. Cheon-hae, pull them up. Yes. A female disciple full of muscles and without a hint of hesitation dove into the lava, pulling out the 2 cloud disciples whose bodies are red hot from the heat. After watching the scene for a moment, I immediately run away from the Fire Path Body Training Hall. It turns out the fire path doesn't quite suit me after all. I move towards the Metal Path Body Training Hall located on the adjacent peak. The Metal Path Body Training Hall is, of course, different from the Fire Path Body Training Hall. Arg. Senior brothers, I don't want to die. Please spare us. The newly initiated disciples were tied up with ropes, slowly being lowered into a small pit. Kagagagagagak, kagagak, kagagakak. Upon closer inspection, inside the pit where the disciples are entering, there are thousands of small shark-like fish with sharp teeth swarming. Everyone, utilize the Metal Path Enduring Origin Scripture. Being bitten by the gold-toothed sharks will allow you to feel the power of the metal spirit. If you grasp that feeling well and utilize the technique accordingly, there will be no problem. Arg. Stop talking nonsense. Crazy. Splash. One of the 5 cloud disciples who was panicking fell right into the midst of the gold-toothed sharks. Quote. Surprisingly, the 5 cloud disciple, even while being bitten by the fish, did not die. He manages to survive, somehow thrashing madly inside, utilizing metal energy. I hurriedly leave the Metal Path Body Training Hall without looking back. Are the other training halls like this? It seems likely. Quote. Anyway, just in case there's a training method that suits me, I should at least look around. I take a deep breath and head to the next hall. Water Path Body Training Hall. Splash. RRRGH. Compared to the previous brutally harsh training halls, this one is visually more stable. However, the 5 cloud disciples at the Water Path Body Training Hall were dragged deep underwater by senior disciples, undergoing training to withstand immense water pressure. Quote. The depth is so great that it's out of sight. Next, go in. Wait a moment, please. The problem isn't withstanding the water pressure, but not being able to breathe. Quiet. There's nothing impossible for a disciple of the Great Azure Heaven Creation Sect. Splash. RRRGH. A 5 cloud disciple, with rocks as big as his head tied to his feet, plunged into the lake in front of him. The lake's depth is clearly dozens of meters, deep enough to make the 5 cloud disciple who went down disappear after a while. I shake my head at this scene and head to the next training hall. Wood Path Body Training Hall. Thud, 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 thud. Kuoa, Kugum, Uffum. In the Wood Path Body Training Hall, 3 cloud disciples infused their fists with the power of healing and life force, tying up 4 cloud and 5 cloud disciples to logs and mercilessly beat them. While the disciples from the fire, metal, and water halls could at least scream. The 4 cloud and 5 cloud disciples in the Wood Path Body Training Hall had gags in their mouths, only able to clench their teeth and endure the punches from the 3 cloud disciples. Thud, thud, thud. Every time the 3 cloud disciples beat the 4 and 5 cloud disciples, their bodies would bruise and bones would break, only to be healed and regenerated by the seniors' punches, continuously transforming their flesh into something even more robust. Quote. I held my breath watching this scene and also fled from the Wood Path Body Training Hall. And, finally, Earth Path Body Training Hall. Quote. The Earth Path Body Training Hall, unlike the other terrifying and noisy training halls, has a very quiet and serene atmosphere. The 1 and 2 Cloud disciples are closing their eyes and practicing their body cultivation, though lifting rocks as big as the scripture pavilion or mountain peaks for training seems somewhat excessive. But where are all the 3, 4, and 5 Cloud disciples? Just then, crack, suddenly, a hand emerged from the ground of the Earth Path Body Training Hall. Cough, cough, cough. Shortly after, the person who completely emerged as a 5 Cloud disciple wearing tattered clothes. Gasping for breath, he climbed out of the ground and started running madly in my direction. This place is insane. Everyone's insane. If I had known the Azure Heaven Creation sect was like this, I wouldn't have come. And then, Koo-goo-goo-goo-goo, one of the 2 Cloud disciples who had been quietly training with a mountain peak dropped it and landed in front of the fleeing 5 Cloud disciple. Junior, where are you going? You need to continue today's training. I don't want to. Save me. At the same time, the 2 Cloud disciple rolled his foot. Boom. With his kick, a huge pit formed beneath his feet. He grabbed the fleeing 5 Cloud disciple by the nape and threw him directly into the pit. Now then, climb back up using the Earth Path Enduring Origin scripture. It'll be nothing once you get used to it, Junior. As he forms a seal with his hands, the pit closes, and the 5 Cloud disciple is trapped underground just like that. So that's why. The reason the Earth Path Body Training Hall is quiet is because the lower level disciples are buried underground. It seems that the training method of the Earth Path Body Training Hall involves enduring the pressure of the earth and climbing back up. After witnessing the sequence of training processes, I realized a belated truth. I should just quietly go back to practicing the starlight protecting void body. But then, wait, now that I think about it, aren't you the one who recently became the direct disciple of the founder? Quote. Haha, this is great. Seeing as you've come to the Earth Path Body Training Hall, you must be intending to learn the Earth Path Enduring Origin scripture, right? It's truly commendable that you, as the founder's disciple, would start from the basics despite being eligible for higher methods. Thud, 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 thud. Behind me, to my sides, and in front of me, 1 Cloud and 2 Cloud disciples block my way out. I awkwardly smile and reply. Quote. It seems I took the wrong turn, seniors. This junior is just on his way out, so if everyone can continue on happily with their training that would be. Haha, entering is as you please, but leaving is not. With that, the 1 and 2 Cloud disciples surrounding me charge towards me. For the first time in a long while, I concentrate as if my life is at stake, reading their intent. Numerous paths and trajectories become visible to my eyes. To freedom, focusing all my willpower, I seize the starting form. Translator notes. Honestly, after the depressing Mad Lord arc, this arc is a really nice change of mood. Chapter 153, Azure Heaven Creation Sect 4. Red lines stretch out from all sides, enveloping the surroundings. 7 from the rear, 3 from the front, 2 red lines from each side. The only empty spaces are above in the sky and below the ground. However, going below ground would be no different than voluntarily entering the training hall to be trapped. And the sky, even if there are no intense targeting there right now, it's too easy to be targeted by others. Then, I decide to charge towards the senior brother rushing at me from the rear. 7 intense target my limbs. From the fighting spirit emanating beyond their intent, it's clear they're willing to break my limbs if necessary to capture me for the training hall. Pot. The first touch aims for my shoulder. Allowing it would dislocate my shoulder. I bend my waist slightly to dodge the hand, then place my hand under the senior's arm and slightly change direction. Wobble. Quote. As I change direction, he feels the force he was about to exert on me shift to one side, causing him to stagger. In that moment, the intent wildly fluctuates. I manage to pass through the gaps of the trembling intent, initially escaping the encirclement of the seniors. This isn't the end. Though I've escaped the encirclement, there's still a long way before freedom. The only way to escape the training hall in one go is. I roll my eyes, looking far off at a cliff. If I fall off the cliff next to the training hall, they won't pursue further. 20 steps to the cliff. I can make it. I hurriedly speed up my steps toward the cliff. But, as expected, the seniors of the Azure Heaven Creation Sect posse's tremendous speed. Pabobbit. They quickly catch up to me. Purely due to their high physical capabilities, they don't even need movement techniques or lightness skills. Stop right there. Where do you think you're running off to? Do. Chilling footsteps sound from behind. Half a dozen muscular giants, regardless of gender, chase me as if they're starved dogs given a bone. He's heading for the cliff. Catch him, a muscular, bald senior sister shouts as she chases after me. Chalk, two of the senior brothers reach out simultaneously towards my shoulders. Reading their intent, I duck and dodge their hands. Pot, from beneath the ground, red lines rise towards my legs. In a crouched position, I kick off the ground, propelling myself forward. The spot I kicked off from sprouts a pair of hands that grab at the air. Coo-goo-goo-goo. From above, like a meteor falling, the muscular, half-bald senior sister descends upon me. Tot, tat, I deftly step aside, avoiding her landing spot. Quang, she lands where I was, extending her fingers towards me. Her log-like fingers scratch wildly at where I previously was, and finding no response, she propels herself towards my new location. Quang, I twist half a step to avoid her, then using a lightness technique, I shake her off and again dash towards the cliff. Only 8 steps to the cliff. Our fresh recruit is running away. Catch him, I can definitely escape. I smirk and begin to step even faster. But then, pabobbit, from beneath the ground, dozens of red lines burst into the air. Damn, fuck, fuck, fuck. And from beneath the ground, several 4-cloud and 3-cloud disciples reveal themselves. Where do you think you're escaping? We can't be the only ones suffering. A total of 16 seniors stand in my way. Countless lines of intent densely fill the space ahead. There's seemingly no way forward. But in this world of intent, I close my eyes. Dozens, hundreds of intents obscure my vision. It's impossible to dodge all these attacks, and without formless sword or gang sphere, counter-attacking is difficult. If so, I'll use it to my advantage. Ta-at. Using a lightness technique, I deflect one of the reaching hands towards me, utilizing the initial stance of Echoing Valley to redirect it towards another senior. Ku, boom, bung bung, several fists and kicks aim for me. I use the force of a leg kicking towards me and throw it back at a senior rushing from behind, catch a fist coming from the side, and redirect it towards another senior extending his leg from the front. Reading dozens of intents and deflecting hundreds of attacks towards other targets, I dodge numerous hands and finally break through the throng of senior brothers and sisters. Pot, and then, I leap down the cliff. Finally, I've escaped, just as I am about to breathe a sigh of relief. Exclamation mark. Coo-goo-goo-goo. From the cliff, a giant hand made of dirt reaches out towards me. This dosh, I forgot in my rush that these people are originally cultivators. But my panic is only momentary. Quickly analyzing the situation, I position my body in midair as I see the dirt hand reaching for me. And, thwook, just as the hand almost touches my feet. Now, with gleaming eyes, I use the force of the hand to leap even further away. Pong, in an instant, the peaks of the training hall recedes from view. The seniors of the Earth Body Training Hall watch me escape with regret, smacking their lips. In a flash, the peaks of the Wooden Hall, Water Hall, and Metal Hall pass before my eyes. And then, I feel an ominous sensation and look back. I use the force from the dirt hand to leap further, but somehow that caused me to head towards the Fire Training Hall. After quickly realizing my ominous fate, I desperately try to change direction, but it's too late. Warurururu. A giant flame dragon opens its mouth, engulfing me as I fly through the air. Core, caught in the mouth of the flame dragon, I fall somewhere, feeling intense heat around me. Single quote dot. God damn it. Escaping the tiger's den only to enter a bear's cave. Haha, newbie. Flying through the air to our Fire Path Body Training Hall, is that a declaration of intent to practice the Fire Path Enduring Origin scripture? Hey, wait, have we tested this newbie's spiritual root? If it's not a fire spiritual root, we should politely transfer him to another training hall. Hooahaha, I immediately did with my flame dragon spell. This kid is definitely a fire spiritual root. Warururu. The flame dragon that caught me transforms into chains of fire, binding me tightly. Thump, 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 thump. Around me, several seniors of the Fire Path Body Training Hall with their bodies glowing red hot, encircle me. I think I've come to the wrong place, could you let me go, please? Haha, everyone, add another log, we've got a newbie. My plea goes unheeded, and I'm tied tightly to a stake. Now, I'll teach you the intricacies of the Fire Path Enduring Origin scripture, so listen well. Ah, I already understand. Oh, you do, that's good. Lads, cook the newbie. And then, the pile of firewood below me is ignited. Newbie, if you use the Fire Path Enduring Origin scripture properly, you'll have no problems. Give it a try. I am engulfed in flames. Warurururu. Engulfed in flames, I grit my teeth and forcefully operate the fire path enduring origin scripture. Though it feels like I am turning to ash, operating the fire path enduring origin scripture somehow prevents me from dying. It hurts. Excruciatingly so. It feels like I am turning into smoked bacon. But within these flames, I sense something. Ah, I see. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. In my past life trapped in General CO, for 1,000 years, I haven't felt this sensation for a long time. Pain. Feeling pain, I realize something. It hurts. But being in pain means I'm alive. Yes, I am alive. Flash. I absorb the flames in accordance with the secret method of the fire path enduring origin scripture, grinning amidst the blazing fire. I made a big fuss over nothing after being spared from physical pain for too long. The visual effect was so astonishing that I panicked prematurely. But, is there truly nothing more agonizing than this pain? Of course not. In the midst of flames and suffering, I realized something far more tormenting than pain. Death. To close one's eyes in powerlessness and misery, having achieved nothing and saved no one. Isn't that truly more agonizing? Sizzle. Within the scorching heat, I find my calm. Regardless, I can become stronger. With this kind of training, it should help me amass enough strength so as not to die powerlessly anymore. What have I been doing until now? This isn't the time to be complaining. Kim Yeon is suffering under the tyranny of the insane Mad Lord. Jaeon Myung-hoon and the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is doomed to be annihilated by a true immortal in a few decades. Who knows what Seo Wayol will do to Ohai Seo? Kong Min-hee will go mad and destroy the entire Black Ghost Valley. Azure Tiger Saint is going to eventually die and Oh Yun-sok will become crippled after that. To save everyone, or at the very least, to find out why and what is happening. I shouldn't be sitting here moping around, Seo Eun-yun. In the midst of searing pain, I face my seniors looking on with satisfaction with a smile. Senior brothers, senior sisters, seniors. It hurts. But now, in the midst of burning pain, I finally know what I need to do. Is this all? I had some expectations hearing that the Fire Path Body Training Hall is a thrilling place, but this is so lukewarm I can't even tell if the fire has been lit or not. The veins on the seniors' faces who were stoking the fire bulged. I'm going to catch a cold from the chill. Make it hotter. This junior is catching a cold. Ha, ha ha. At my words, the faces of the 3 or 4 seniors who tensed up began to laugh. Ha 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 ha. Alright, we've got quite the character here. Alright, newbie, we'll do as you say. We can't have our adorable junior catching a cold. You guys, bring some lava over here. I laugh as I am turning into charcoal. Yes, it hasn't been long since I returned to being human from a puppet. I've been too dramatic. Today, I've regained my senses. The time for pretense is over. Let's become stronger. Even more so. From a certain day onward, rumors started circulating in the Azure Heaven Creation Sect's 5 Elements Body Training Hall. Hey, have you heard the rumor? If you go to the Fire Path Body Training Hall early in the day, there's a newbie tied up burning since dawn. Oh, really? But listen, what's scary is that if you go to the Metal Path Body Training Hall around the morning, you can see a newbie, who looks exactly like the one burning at dawn, being ripped apart there. Wow, a hard-working newcomer, isn't it? No, the story's not over yet. I was just passing by the Water Path Body Training Hall after lunch, and I saw the guy who was in the Metal Path Body Training Hall in the morning diving into the deepest part of the Water Path Body Training Hall. Wow, 3 different training halls. Is that even possible? That's what I'm saying. But what's even scarier is that, while going up after dinner, I saw a newbie who looked exactly like that guy, receiving impact training in the Wood Path Body Training Hall. Wow, you must have been mistaken, right? How could that be? And I don't know if they saw this wrong, but one of the juniors passing by the Earth Path Body Training Hall at midnight said he saw a newbie, looking exactly like the one I saw, coming out from under the Earth Path Body Training Hall. Could it be that quintuplets joined the Azure Heaven Creation Sect at the same time? If that were the case, it'd be an interesting rumor, but no such rumor exists. In other words, they're all the same person. The 2 burly men gaped in amazement. Training in all 5 elements body training halls. What kind of absurd rumor is that? That's what I'm saying. Usually, mastering only one of the 5 elements enduring origin scripture and moving on to the starlight protecting void body is the norm for most. Does that mean, then, this newbie possesses the 5 elements spiritual roots? It appears so. Being a possessor of the 5 elements spiritual roots, he seems to be attempting to master all 5 methods of the 5 elements enduring origin scripture. That's insane. If he masters all 5 methods of the 5 elements enduring origin scripture, he would literally gain tremendous resistance against the 5 elements themselves. Wait, hold on, one of the burly men pointed somewhere. There, that's the newbie. Oh, that's the newbie. With curious expressions, the 2 men looked at a man who had been climbing the mountain path since dawn. I glanced at the 2 senior brothers discussing me from afar, took a deep breath, and continued my ascent to the 5 Elements Hall. It's been about 3 months since I started my formal training at the 5 Elements Hall. 9 months since my return. I'd been training with the insane methods of the 5 Elements Hall in the vast heaven and earth spiritual energy of the bright cold realm. Moreover, I've been training on the best spiritual veins of Azure Cold Island, a place in the bright cold realm where the spiritual veins converge, and I've already reached the extreme stage of chi gathering. 5 surpassing paths to cultivation is completed. Sigh. As I exhaled, spiritual clouds of 5 colors circled around me before flowing back into my body. After mastering 5 surpassing paths to cultivation, I've been also diligently training in the 5 elements enduring origin scripture at the 5 Elements Hall. Crack. Crack, I clench and unclench my fist. Compared to 3 months ago, my body has become significantly stronger and more robust. In terms of physical strength alone, my body is comparable to a chi-building cultivator's body filled with gang chi, even though I am still at the chi-gathering stage. If I combine the chi-refining method mastered through understanding before breakthrough, a chi-building cultivator's body, and the state of 5 energies converging to the origin. Even at my current chi-gathering cultivation, I feel like I can compete with a mid-stage chi-building cultivator. No, with the Mad Lord's techniques to neutralize the opponent's magic artifacts. My actual combat power can reach the level of late-stage chi-building even without including puppets. Crack, crack, I clench and unclench my fist again, organizing my thoughts. Not enough. But I am not satisfied. I am still only at the chi-building stage in terms of power. Certainly, my growth rate isn't slow. A body harmonized with the 5 energies converging to the origin assimilates the strengthening of the body swiftly. My body after complete transformation is very compatible with the body refining methods. Even the seniors of the Azure Heaven Creation sect were surprised by my remarkable growth. But, it's not enough. I clench my fist tighter and look up at the 5 Elements Hall. Faster. I must reach higher. At this rate, I can't save anyone yet. With a firm resolve, I continue my ascent to the 5 Elements Hall. Coo-goo-goo-goo. That day, I also practiced swordsmanship in the depths of the water training hall, holding my breath in a place with dense water pressure. To not forget the basics, I must continuously imprint them on my body. Coo-goo-goo-goo. The water pressure crushes my whole body. Not enough. While practicing severing mountain swordsmanship, I continuously analyze the chi-building methods I will cultivate in the future with the experience of understanding before. Breakthrough. It's not enough. Wo Wang. In that state, I also train the Mad Lord's wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. Normally, training in multiple techniques at once can lead to demonic possession due to confusion and lost focus. Mental demons can appear, or the circulation of vital force and blood can become entangled and explode. Suddenly, blood rushes to my head, causing a throbbing pain. A surge of anger wells up, and a violent desire to smash everything in sight rises within me. Symptoms of demonic possession. However, I resolve the possession quite simply. Thump. I raise my fist and punch my own face. Boom. Blood rushes to my head, and the about to explode energy and blood burst forth. The air that filled my lungs expel completely and rises upwards as bubbles. Gurgle, gurgle. Demonic possession. Mental demons. Such nuisances are only distractions that arise from having too much idle thought. When life hangs in a balance to such an extent that one can't afford such distractions, naturally, those foolish thoughts scatter. Gurgle, gurgle. I exhale in the water pressure, sending out a distress signal. Swoosh. A green spiritual energy swims towards me, grabs my body, and pulls me up to the surface of the water. A while later, Puha, I gasp for the sweet air, regaining my consciousness. Wo Wang, one of the senior brothers with a wooden spiritual root places his hand on my head, healing my injuries. Ah, senior brother, thank you. Well, it's good to be diligent, but aren't you pushing yourself too hard lately? Such words coming from the mouth of a fearsome senior brother of the 5 Elements Hall meant that I was indeed training like a madman. Rushing things too much can lead to trouble. You should pace yourself. It was a surprisingly warm advice coming from someone who would throw his juniors into water with stones tied to their feet. I nod and acknowledge his advice for now. All right, the healing is done. Thank you. After expressing my gratitude, I immediately dive back into the water. I see the senior brother making a slightly queasy face above the water surface. After glancing at his expression, I descend towards the deep abyss. 1. Utilizing water surpassing path to cultivation, I manage to breathe for a moment underwater by manipulating the spiritual energy. It might seem funny to breathe underwater, but surprisingly, those who learned water-based methods can do such a thing. Although it doesn't help with lung capacity training and I tend to avoid it. I form a hand seal and speak. Storage scroll, open. 1. The scroll tied to my waist rises in the water and unfolds beside me. This scroll, obtained from the Elder of the West Spirit Gate last time, was a kind of storage magic artifact commonly known as a storage scroll. I take out a jade tablet from the storage scroll that I snatched from the Elder. The jade table has a method inscribed in the language of the bright cold realm. The method's name is Three Spirits Technique, which allows one to create 3 avatars of oneself to be stored in a safe place. If the main body is in danger and loses their cultivation or body, the avatars can be used to regain the cultivation. It's a suitable method for cultivators above the nascent soul stage who frequently lose their physical bodies. A notable feature is that creating more than 3 avatars will gradually reduce the cultivation of the avatars. Therefore, trying to recover cultivation through a weaker avatar can pose problems. Conversely, if only 1 avatar is created instead of 3 or more, its power will be as formidable as the main body itself. In short, it's a technique that serves both as insurance for one's life and future cultivation in case of loss, and also allows for using the avatar as an offensive tool. It seems quite useful, as I am reading the 3 Spirits Technique again. Wait a moment, after looking at the formula of the 3 Spirits Technique, I use spiritual energy to inscribe the formula of the Devil Legion terracotta scroll in the water. Then, I hastily compare the formulas of the 2 methods. Wait, these methods. I read both formulas simultaneously, realizing something. Chapter 154. Azure Heaven Creation Sect 5. I organized my thoughts as I looked at the 2 techniques. They can complement each other. Devil Legion terracotta scroll. Its content is roughly as follows. After obtaining a Dharma treasure or magic artifact, one closely links their consciousness with that Dharma treasure, stimulating the Dharma treasure's spirituality slowly through this connection, eventually forming the Dharma treasure's artifact spirit. The artifact spirit can be shaped from something that made a deep impression on the user. Depending on how well the user understands the subject, the spirit can mimic the power of that subject to some extent using the power of the Dharma treasure. However, the form of the artifact spirit created in this way is not clearly visible to others except the user, appearing only as a vague mist. There's no particular limit to the number of spirits one can form. By slowly accumulating artifact spirits and strengthening the Dharma treasure while simultaneously gathering the energy of the spirits formed from the Dharma treasure, one can elevate their cultivation. Those who master this technique can summon numerous spirits around them whenever they use their Dharma treasure, making it appear as if they are commanding a legion of devils. Hence the name Devil Legion Terracotta Scroll, implying that the practitioner's Dharma treasure effectively contains thousands of these strange, devil-like entities. Indeed, it's originally a method from Black Ghost Valley, and since the cultivators of Black Ghost Valley primarily practice ghost path methods, their Dharma treasures and the spirits they created through their connected consciousness would all spread ghostly and devilish energy. It wasn't for no reason that it was named Devil Legion. If it's not a devilish cultivator but someone who learned righteous path methods using Devil Legion Terracotta Scroll to form spirits, it might as well be called Spirit Legion Terracotta Scroll. Of course, that isn't the important part. Devil Legion Terracotta Scroll is a method that starts from the chi building stage and can eventually stimulate the soul with numerous spirits to reach the nascent soul stage. Above all, what I am paying attention to is a section that describes the method of reaching the nascent soul stage. After forming several artifact spirits, gather them into one powerful artifact spirit and stimulate the soul with that spirit. In short, it's possible to merge hundreds of artifact spirits into one. That's the important point. I read the technique of the 3 Spirits Technique. It's a technique that creates 3 avatars to aim for revival in the future. Reading the methods of both 3 Spirits Technique and Devil Legion Terracotta Scroll, I hypothesized that it might be possible to combine the avatars of 3 Spirits Technique with the artifact spirits of Devil Legion Terracotta Scroll. This means, the weakness of 3 spirits technique, which can only create up to 3 avatars, is practically non-existent. Even if creating more than 3 avatars weakens their power, I can just merge the artifact spirits using the essence of Devil Legion Terracotta Scroll, simply recombining them when needed. In other words, both survival and combat power can be guaranteed. Above all, what I am looking forward to is something else. If the 3 spirits technique, which stores cultivation for revival with the help of avatars, and Devil Legion Terracotta Scroll, which creates artifact spirits for the Dharma treasure, are combined, maybe. I think of the colorless glass sword within me. Maybe, it's possible to store cultivation in the colorless glass sword itself with these 2 techniques, so it can be carried into the next life. That alone will be an immense gain. After some thought, I decided to first learn both methods. But first, let's enter Chi building. My current state is being at the absolute peak of Chi refining before encountering heavenly lightning. I managed to break through the heavenly rejection last time with the mass-produced version General CO. Still, I am a bit worried about drawing attention, let alone dispelling the heavenly tribulation. Though thinking some more, there's a high chance of Chi Fo Yun Sok encountering heavenly tribulation when breaking through Chi building. It should be fine if I reach Chi building alongside him. Alright, then for now, let's go with that. Creek. I organized my plans for the future and began practicing the water path enduring origin method again in the depths of my concentration. Trudge, late at night, at a lodging in Azure Heaven Creation Sect. A figure with smoke rising thickly from their body returned. SSSHHHH. I shook my head as I looked at the heat emanating from my entire body. Tuduk, duck, a piece of lava that had been stuck in my head splattered in all directions. The Fire Path Body Training Hall is always hot. Whether in the morning or at night, there's no difference. The Azure Heaven Creation Sect venerates body cultivation, and thus, the 5 Elements Hall is always bustling with people. Of course, if one learns methods other than the 5 Elements Enduring Origin scripture, there's no need to go there. The problem is, to learn other methods besides the 5 Elements Enduring Origin scripture, one has to arm wrestle the librarian in the scripture pavilion and win. By the time one becomes strong enough to win an arm wrestling match against the librarian, the individual is likely already so worn down by the thrilling training at the 5 Elements Hall that the other methods available in the scripture pavilion lose their significance. However, while the 5 Elements Hall is always crowded, 3 Cloud and 2 Cloud disciples have been frequenting the hall even more recently, inspired by my constant visits regardless of night or day. As a result, there have been times when the 5 Elements Hall is so packed that there's literally no room left. Today, too, I was planning not to return to my lodging for about a week, but had to because the 5 Elements Hall was so full of seniors that there was no room. Sigh. As I opened the door and entered my lodging, I sensed someone inside. Have you been well, Yuan Yu? Yuan Yu, the blood body I named, dressed in a red robe and with an expressionless face, approaches me. Meaning, the legacy left by Yuan Li, Yuan Yu stays in my lodging, cleaning and recovering its cultivation using the spiritual energy of the bright cold realm. It almost fully recovered to the peak of the core formation stage. I have Yuan Yu fetch a glass box. Clank. Yuan Yu brought the glass box and placed it in front of me. Inside the glass box, a centipede, now grown to the size of a pinky finger, is feasting on an insect-feeding pill provided as food. Wriggle, wriggle, seemingly without any awareness, it doesn't seem to notice me. Watching. Eat well and grow well. Even if it doesn't attain spiritual awareness and become a demon beast in this life, I have no intention of forgetting the grace I received in my past life. It will live a bit longer than its natural lifespan due to the immense spiritual energy of the bright cold realm. I take out another insect-feeding pill made for insects and place it in front of it, then have Yuan Yu put the glass box back in its place. Recently, there was another heavenly rejection. It was in the territory of the Azure Heaven Creation Sect, where the sun always shone brightly since I completed the 7-star Chi refining stage. However, recently, a corner of the Azure Heaven Creation Sect's land was briefly covered in dark clouds. Of course, it was quickly pierced through by something that rose from below. Seeing the heavenly rejection means Chi Fo Yun Sok must have also completed the 7 stars ritual. That means soon, it will be time to enter the Chi building stage. Instead of explaining to Azure Tiger Saint that I'll face heavenly tribulations every time I advance my cultivation, having him experience it from Chi Fo will save me a lot of hassle. Quack. I clench and unclench my fist. Can I withstand the heavenly tribulation? Although it'd be simple using Yuan Yu, who is practically mine, or General CO in the nascent soul stage, I am curious if I can overcome the heavenly tribulation with the physique I had trained. Honestly, after all the hardship and training in the 5 Elements Hall to learn the 5 Elements Enduring Origin scripture, it'd be disappointing if I can't withstand the heavenly tribulation. In terms of pure power, I am at the mid-chi building stage. It will be difficult to fend off the heavenly tribulation. Even a core formation stage cultivator, not a mid-chi building stage cultivator, will find it challenging. I need to find a way. It isn't just about testing my physique with stubbornness. I can't just let the formless sword go to waste. I hadn't used it at all until now due to fear of being suspected as a Heart Tribe spy. But not being able to use the formless sword, a part of my life and essentially my identity, has been a significant psychological pressure for me. Even if I explained to Azure Tiger Saint that the formless sword is a martial art, he wouldn't believe it. As someone who reached 3 Flowers Gather at the summit, Azure Tiger Saint knows all too well the limits of regular martial artists. It'd be fortunate if I don't get beaten up for spouting nonsense. Even though Azure Tiger Saint doesn't know the Heart Tribe methods, pretending it's just a unique method and practicing the formless sword is foolish. There's an administrator on Azure Cold Island. Each Sky Island has an administrator, dispatched by the Human Race Grand Alliance. These administrators use a special technique to monitor the entire Sky Island to ensure nothing suspicious goes on. Of course, given the scope, the precision is said to be terrible. Still, they can roughly know what's happening throughout Azure Cold Island. Even if the administrator's spell has low precision, if I were to be caught using the formless sword by them, it would be the end. The administrator's cultivation is said to be at the very peak of the heavenly being stage, at least according to what I've heard. It's even rumored that they stepped into the 4-axis stage. Until the true General CO is completed, with the materials being gathered slowly, I can't act rashly. I turn my gaze towards the basement. There lies my past life's body, which I am slowly attempting to recreate with expensive materials. The true General CO is being crafted. However, the materials used by the Mad Lord to modify me into General CO are outrageously expensive, so properly making General CO isn't easy. Currently, only laying the framework is possible. For this reason, I decided to face the upcoming heavenly tribulation with my bare body, pondering a way to use the formless sword without drawing it. If I can generate the formless sword within my body and immediately reach treading heavens beyond the path, maybe I can avoid detection. Or if I can unfold the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts with the formless sword within my body, maybe I won't be detected. What about applying the hidden consciousness technique or wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon? If I mix the formless sword into the body refining methods, maybe it won't be recognized. I reflect on the formless sword itself, constantly pondering. Squeeze. Just as many have said, Oh Yun-Sok has a mythical physique. It won't take long for him to reach Chi building. Within that time, let's find a way to naturally use the formless sword. I raise the formless sword within my heart essence and close my eyes. Time passed again, and another 3 months went by. It's exactly 1 year since my return. Ha ha ha, look at you, Deputy CO. It's been quite a while. Chief O. Suddenly, I found myself able to see Chief O Yun-Sok, now as tall as Azure Tiger Saint. SSSHHHH. He's shirtless, similar to Azure Tiger Saint, and his muscles are as defined as if sculpted. But what's more surprising is, in just 1 year, he too reached the extreme of chi refining. Under Master's special training over the past year, I've learned about this world and trained my body while practicing cultivation methods. How about you? Have you become a bit more accustomed to this world? He laughs heartily and pats my shoulder warmly. Ah, yes, I've come to understand this world to some extent. Good, good. Honestly, I was a bit surprised at first, but knowing that the other colleagues are also diligently practicing at their individual sects is reassuring. Indeed, if there's something worrying, it's that. I am a bit worried about Director Kim left alone in the lower realm. But well, he'll probably be doing well. By now, he might have broken through 5 energies converging to the origin or even ultimate pinnacle based on the martial art principles I provided. I hope so. Anyway, Master said that once we reach the Chi building stage, both you and I will proceed with our training together. The 5 Elements Hall is intimidating enough, but what would direct training from Azure Tiger Saint be like? I am nervous, yet somehow looking forward to it. By the way, it seems you've also reached the extreme of the chi refining stage as expected. Master set a day to reach the Qi building stage, saying he wants to see. How about it? Since you're also Master's direct disciple, shall we ascend to Qi building together? At his question, I grin and reply. Of course. It's time to test the enlightenment I had gained from my contemplation on the formless sword, despite the short amount of time. A few days later, I am summoned before Azure Tiger Saint, alongside Chief Yun Sok. It's time to reach the Qi building stage. Both of you have excellently mastered your methods. Especially Yun. Yun Sok has grown quickly under my intensive guidance, but you found the 5 elements hall on your own and trained day and night without my attention, for which I, as a master, feel sorry. Azure Tiger Saint proudly pats my shoulder with his hand as large as a pot lid. It felt like my shoulder would dislocate for a moment. Thankfully, I could withstand it by tensing my body. I will personally observe both of you reaching the Qi building stage. After breaking through, I will focus on both of you with intensive guidance. Once again, I must say, Yun, I am sorry for not being able to pay attention to you until now. Yun Sok shudders at the mention of intensive guidance. Seeing his reaction, I anticipate that Azure Tiger Saint's intensive guidance will not be easy. Now, come to this spiritual vein in front of you. Let's see you reach the Qi building stage. Azure Tiger Saint laughs heartily and stands up. Out of caution, I ask the Azure Tiger Saint. Master, do we need to consume Qi building pills? Why do you ask that? Well, I trust the cultivation I've been practicing more than Qi building pills, so if you were planning to give us any. You've entered the Azure Heaven Creation sect and still don't know. At my words, Azure Tiger Saint looks puzzled and continues. Our sect does not deal with such frivolous actions as breaking through cultivation by consuming pills. If one hasn't reached the Qi building stage, it means their cultivation is lacking. Just throw those who have reached the extreme of Qi refining into the deepest parts of the 5 elements hall for about a year, and they'll reach the Qi building stage on their own out of sheer desire to live. Quote. I too have shaped this body without resorting to things like Qi building pills, and I take infinite pride in that. To hear you share the same sentiment, I am very pleased as your master. Bang, bang, Azure Tiger Saint heartily laughs and pats my back. I barely manage to suppress the urge to cough up blood, forcing a smile. Now, my disciples, if you encounter any obstacles, I am here to help you. Commence your rise to Qi building. Following Azure Tiger Saint's command, we each take our places on the spiritual vein. I exhale the clouds of spiritual energy from the method I practiced. Clouds swirl around me, and far off in the distance, abnormal phenomenons begin to appear in the sky. I half open my eyes, beginning to utilize the formless sword I had honed up until now. In front of Azure Tiger Saint, a 4-axis stage cultivator. If I can remain undetected even in front of him, I won't need to worry about the administrator, who can only roughly monitor Azure Cold Island. Wo Wang, a sharp energy begins to gather throughout my body. Chapter 155, Master's Grace 1. Azure Tiger Saint's eyes sparkles while watching Yun. An odd momentum is flowing from Yun's body, something entirely different from Azure Heaven Creation sect's body refining methods. Of course Azure Tiger Saint, being that he is, didn't particularly doubt its origin. After all, it's someone who ascended alone without even achieving the Qi refining stage. It's entirely possible for him to have learned some strange technique unknown to him or to possess a special ability. However, Azure Tiger Saint momentarily felt an eerie energy from Yun. An energy he would not wish to encounter even in his dreams was fleetingly felt from him. The Mad Lord, the Azure Tiger Saint shuddered. Indeed, the power felt from Yun was similar to that felt from the puppets of the Mad Lord. Thinking back, he definitely said strange things to the Mad Lord last time. A spy of the Mad Lord? No, that can't be. That maniac wouldn't have the sanity left to send a spy. Swoosh. But before Azure Tiger Saint could dwell further on his suspicion, the strange energy felt from Yun dissipated once again. It should be a misunderstanding. Kugugugu. What is now felt from Yun is definitely the power of body refining. Azure Tiger Saint shakes his head while looking at Yun. Even if he truly learned the Mad Lord's method, so what? After all, he is already one of his disciples. Having personally accepted him as a disciple, it's also necessary as a master to trust and watch over his disciple. Azure Tiger Saint thought this way, looking at his 2 disciples rising to the Qi building stage. Wo Wang, I begin controlling my Qi, vital force, and refining my mind. The start is nothingness, the void. From there, I recall the time when I first held a sword. At this moment, I am a mere third-rate martial artist. And then the next moment, continuously refining from nothingness, I improve further. From a third-rate martial artist to a second-rate martial artist. From a second-rate martial artist to a first-rate martial artist. I will enter the pinnacle. As I refine my mind, I reach the pinnacle. Beyond the pinnacle as 3 flowers gather at the summit. As my mind awakens, numerous intents begin to be captured in my vision. I will enter 5 energies converging to the origin. The intents intertwine and finally unify, forming the domain of consciousness. After reaching 5 energies converging to the origin and creating a domain of consciousness, I thought the lines of intent had no more meaning. However, after recently sparring with Azure Tiger Saint and escaping from seniors a few times, I realized something. I used to think that after creating a domain of consciousness, I could directly read the opponent's movements through that domain. But, the method of reading those movements can also be done through the lines of intent. In fact, using the domain of consciousness for assessing the battlefield and preparing techniques, while purely using the lines of intent for combat, turned out to be the valid approach. Azure Tiger Saint probably also embodied this understanding through combat, making effective use of the threads of intent in battle. If both my opponent and I possess the same domain of consciousness, then during combat, the one who encompasses more within their sight wins. Among the numerous lines of intent, the path optimized for me and the path optimized for the opponent appears distinctly clear within the domain of consciousness. The unified domain of consciousness is finely decomposed to the level of intent and separately encompassed within my field of vision. It looks as if countless intents are swirling around the world. With the perspective of the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, I coldly analyze these intents. The powers held by intent, the thoughts and emotions, and their subtle influences on heaven and earth's spiritual energy are analyzed with the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. I begin to approach the ultimate pinnacle by analyzing the intents emanating from me and those around me. Wo Wang, inside my body, in the core of my dantian, a gang sphere is formed. However, instead of being expelled outward, the gang sphere starts to dissipate within the dantian. Unlike usual, it does not transform into the formless sword. Through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, the gang sphere starts to spread throughout my body as Mad Lord's circuits. Before it manifests as the formless sword, I intentionally spread the energy of the gang sphere throughout my body like circuits. Normally, installing circuits meant for puppets into a human body would result in significant strain. That's why the Mad Lord transformed healthy humans into puppets, so it didn't matter if they were subjected to strain. But, with my current flesh, it's doable. Crack, crackle crack, my entire body momentarily exhales an aura akin to a dharma treasure. In this state, I crush the gang sphere and lay it out in circuits, then inject the spiritual energy accumulated through the body refining method into the circuits. Koo-goo-goo-goo. Through the circuits, a momentum similar to that of a typical body cultivator is emitted. Not yet. Through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, I follow the threads of the analyzed intents and naturally infuse these intents into the circuits. Simultaneously, using the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, I make sure no one can detect anything odd even if flows of intent are directed at me. Martial arts, puppetry, body refining. The integration of these 3 fields is something only I, who have mastered all 3, could attempt. I have installed the circuits of a living puppet within my own body. There is no enlightenment from the 4-axis stage. It's to be expected. After all, General Seo back then was no different from a Dharma treasure. Even if one handles something akin to an external divine object for 1,000 years, it remains an external divine object. It's impossible to gain enlightenment about any state from it. However, if one handles something for 1,000 years, one inevitably grasps the principles of that external divine object. Wo Wang, how the Mad Lord's circuits could amplify power. How they could produce great force from a small amount of energy. I could understand that much. Koo-goo-goo-goo. Through the circuits, the energy in my body begins to surge dramatically. Naturally, reaching the 4-axis stage is out of the question. However, the power I had equivalent to the chi building mid-stage rushes to the peak of chi building. This is the extent I can reach using puppetry, body refining, and the state of ultimate pinnacle. But here, without raising any suspicion, I must advance to beyond the path to heaven. I crushed the gang sphere as soon as it was created and transformed it into circuits. The circuits are currently flowing with the energy of body refining methods, making it appear outwardly no different from other body refining methods. Without revealing my martial arts, I will advance to beyond the path to heaven. Kugugugu. Sharp energy begins to gather throughout my body. The circuits created with the crushed gang sphere slowly transform into the formless sword. However, the formless sword still maintains the form of the Mad Lord's circuits, with the power of the body refining method swirling inside. Moreover, since the Mad Lord's circuits amplify power, the characteristics of the formless sword itself are completely overshadowed by the power of body cultivation. Now, finally, I carefully begin my approach to treading heavens beyond the path. Right after my return, I hid the realm of treading heavens beyond the path so as to not to be detected, and since then, I did not allow my body to reach that state, fearing discovery. But today, Wo Wang, today, I can enter that realm once more. Perhaps from now on, it will always be possible without worry. Brilliance flares up from my entire body, as if the radiance between heaven and earth converge towards me. The power of the 5 elements enduring origin scripture, amplified endlessly by the Mad Lord's circuits made from the formless sword, explode. Swoosh. The form of the exploding power is shaped by my will. At the same time, the power takes the form similar to a sword. A sword of 5 colors covers my body. Finally, I have reached treading heavens beyond the path. Keying. Although it appears extremely splendid on the outside, the unique aura emitted by the integration of the formless sword's unique consciousness is obscured within the power of the body refining method. In that state, I gather the clouds of spiritual energy revolving in my dantian, beginning the creation of a star in my dantian. Kugugugu. A brilliantly colored star is formed. As the celestial energy changes, my lifespan extends again. Simultaneously, dark clouds thicken in the sky, occasionally emitting blue flashes. Hop. Chifo Yunsok shouts beside me, reaching the Chi building stage. Simultaneously, blue lightning strikes next to me, targeting him. Kugugugu. But, this mere static electricity, can it compare to Master's touch? Chifo Yunsok gathers chi in his fist and thrusts it towards the sky. Kwang. The blue flash emitted from his hand bursts the thunderbolt and flies straight into the sky, piercing through the thunderclouds. Watching this, I hesitate no longer and fully enter the Chi building stage. My lifespan completely transforms, and heavenly lightning strikes down upon me. And then, I raise my hand. Flash. I, too, use a fist. The 5-colored light gathered in my fist is shot towards the heavenly lightning. However, the 5-colored light, unlike Chifo's, does not destroy the lightning but slices through it, advancing into the sky. And then, swoosh, the heavenly lightning and the dark clouds are cut apart directly by my fist, carving a giant sword scar in the sky. I smile, reading the celestial energy beyond the clouds. It's impossible right now to permeate and cut only what I want to with the formless sword. It would be possible if I fully reveal the power of treading heavens beyond the path, but in my current state where treading heaven is hidden within the body refining method and the Mad Lord's circuits, it's impossible. But, Kugugugu, while the void where Chifo Yunsok's fist stuck is merely clear, the void where I split seems to ripple somehow. A strike of the nascent soul stage. Indeed. Through the method of engraving the Mad Lord's circuits is the formless sword in my body along with martial arts and body cultivation. I am able to deliver a blow corresponding to the nascent soul stage in an instant. I closely observe the sky. The lifespan given by treading heavens beyond the path, discovered during my past life's 7 stars ritual. Treading heavens beyond the path extends life by 49 years. Compared to cultivation methods that directly change celestial energy, or demon beast methods that indirectly change celestial energy by maximizing vitality. Martial arts itself has no part in changing celestial energy or maximizing vitality. While it does make one somewhat healthier and more vigorous, but not to the extent that it influences celestial energy. Rather, because martial arts became increasingly powerful, the side effect of increased vitality became excessively strong, slightly altering celestial energy. Likely, Kim Young-hoon in the lower realm will also reach treading heavens beyond the path, and there will be an increase of about 50 years in lifespan. Including 1 or 2 longevity fruits, his lifespan will increase by at least 250 years or more. While I cannot be certain about the realm above treading heavens beyond the path, it's likely that lifespan will increase a bit more. Although I've known since my past life, it seems I rarely had the chance to think separately about the realm of treading heavens beyond the path like this. For Kim Young-hoon, will 250 years be sufficient? In my past life, even after 1,000 years, I hadn't heard any news of him. Of course, being a puppet of the Mad Lord, treated as a public enemy in the bright cold realm, it wouldn't have been possible to properly gather information. And since the ascension gate doesn't open precisely every 1,000 years, who knows? If it's him, given enough time, he can certainly reach the extreme. While I could worry about my other colleagues, there's no need to worry for him. I gather my energy, contemplating. I've managed to conceal treading heavens beyond the path within the Mad Lord's circuits and the body refining method. Of course, delivering attacks that transcend planes is impossible without fully revealing treading heavens beyond the path, but my combat prowess itself has reached the nascent soul stage. I organize my thoughts. Now, it's about time to take on sect missions and meet other colleagues. As I am lost in thought, Kwang, without a moment to react, a red intent strikes my face. Without giving me a chance to dodge, a fist as big as a pot lid hits squarely on my face. Kiak, I spit blood, lifted into the air. A blow so fast that there was no room to dodge or react. And then, the hearty voice of Azure Tiger Saint echoes all around. Kugugugu, now that you've reached the chi building stage, your lifelines have become a bit tougher, so let's, properly, train, my disciples. Quickly shaking off the blood on my face, I see that Chifo Yunsok was also sent flying far away. Boong. Simultaneously, without a moment to check my body that has reached the chi building stage, the Azure Tiger Saint appears above me. He clasps his hands together and raises his fists high before slamming them down towards my abdomen. It's time for exciting training. I hear his true thoughts and voice from his heart essence. Since you reached chi building, I can let go and won't need to worry about death due to beating right. Why, Kwang. Translator notes. First batch of donated chapters done. Second batch will come after I get some sleep. ZZZZ.